Guys, right before we came live, Katie was like, what are we talking about? And I'm like, I'll let you know when we get there.
Hi, guys. Welcome.
Good morning to the Teach Better Today morning show, where the Teach Better team gets to be live every single morning, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm with Katie Miglin, if you haven't figured it out yet. And it's been a morning already, friends. So we are gonna do this commercial thing. Katie and I are gonna switch sides of the screen, and then we're just gonna have a conversation about educational jargon. Also, for those of you who have made mean direct messages and comments to us that we talked too much about coffee, we might talk about coffee this time. So get ready. Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome back to the Teach Better Today morning show. Katie Miglin and I are here to kick off your day. Katie, how you doing?
Good. We switched.
I know. I couldn't figure out how to switch us, but then I just magically did it behind the scenes.
You just snapped your fingers and we were in different spots.
Exactly. Do you feel more comfortable? I mean, I can bring you back. Guys, look, I have the power. I have the power. Usually if you're on that side, you're like in charge of transitions.
Yeah. Which
you
is
like
just
to do
made
nothing.
up. We just made that up. Like that's not like an official thing. It was a Teach Better decision. But I just think if you're listening on the podcast, Ray has switched us now twice. And she's still in charge because I don't want to press buttons.
Yeah. You're welcome, community. I wanted to initially catch up with you, but I've changed my mind and instead I have a question.
She's already over this episode. Super strong start.
Here's my question. At what point is somebody allowed to have an attitude and you have to just put up with it?
It depends the age. Like, are we talking about our children that we live with?
Grown adults.
Oh, I don't. Okay, you're asking the wrong person. Can you save that question for another episode?
But this is perfect in the comments. I want everyone to come together and decide, like, hey, if this is going on, then that person's allowed to have an attitude and you just have to bite your tongue and live your best life. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And other times you are allowed to address it and be like, change your face.
Well, here's the thing. If you want Katie Micklin's answer, you know I'm blunt, and I would just say change your face. But I'm going to be a responsible, like, good citizen. And I'm going to say you should reflect on the root of the attitude. Is there something else happening that is causing the attitude? Then that's what needs to be addressed.
Right. But if that has not been caused or worsened by me, then I don't feel like I should be taking the brunt of the pain.
But sometimes people find a safe person. Like, my husband and I know that just because we're crabby with each other doesn't mean the other person's doing anything wrong. It just means that we can't take the crabbiness out on our boss or the kids or the neighbor or whatever.
Yeah, this works for spouses. It also works for like colleagues. Like, that's my question is, like, at what point, if your colleague is in a mood that is just rubbing you the wrong way, even knowing the root of it doesn't necessarily, like, I know why they're upset, or I know why they're stressed.
And you know it has nothing to do with you.
I know it has nothing to do with me. So I think why do I have to? No, that's actually where my follow-up is. Comments, please help Teach Better Family, because, like, I actually don't feel like I need to necessarily get the short end of the stick just because I understand the reason why it's happening.
I think there's a balance.
Is that boundaries?
No, I think there's a balance. I'd love to see the comments, what people think, but I do think there is a reflection of accepting that, like, I'm going to take the brunt of this right now for a period of time. because that is what they need. So I'm saying that as the person who is often the giver of the attitude. My husband is fantastic and wonderful. And I am very much I take out my frustrations on him versus someone else. And so he often will take it. He knows it's temporary. If it lasts a while, he'll call me out like, dude, get it together.
So what's a while?
I don't know. I mean, he's still married to me, so he's been dealing with it for a while.
Well, because I'm even thinking of like principals that have that like fluctuate because their stress is real. I know where it's coming from. I know I can predict, or maybe I've seen something in the office where I'm like, that's why they're stressed. But I don't think you get to be
I agree.
Rude just because you're like, that means that every teacher in the world can be rude because we all have stress and 1,000 things going on. So I want to know, like, when is it okay and when is it not?
I think it's there has to be a balance of, you have to be able to manage your emotions in the correct situation, and being able to reflect and saying, I am crabby and I am sorry and I'm going to try not to keep taking it out on you, is a part of being just an adult.
All right. Well, I would like, that's not a good enough answer. I would like people in the comments, or if you're listening on the podcast, just direct message us or post it in your like Instagram story or Facebook, tag us. I would like to know, like, black and white, when is it okay to deal with someone's attitude, and when do you address it saying like, hey, change your face? I think that's
Ray, is the end of this conversation going to be you telling me to change my face?
No, I think your face is lovely. You just like came on right before we came live and said some like nutty comment, and I like snapped at you being like, hey, get it together. We got a show to do. And I was like, oh, that anger came from someone else, not from you, but you still got to hear about it.
It's okay.
I apologize.
Thank you. You reflected. This is appropriate. You're an adult. Good job.
Yippee.
I didn't even notice. Does that help?
It's because you're dead inside. Hi, friends. Happy day. We hope you're having a better day than whatever sassafras got you upset or got someone else in your life
hopefully
upset.
No one is. Hopefully there's no one in your life that's being crabby to you, and you're just living your best happy life, and you're not being treated that way. But yes, drop in the comments. At what point can you push back on someone else's attitude that has nothing to do with you?
That was a great summary. As you guys put those in the comments, as you reflect on what like rule you're going to create, it doesn't have to be like the rule 100% of the time. Can we say, like, even if it's like true 50% of the time, we'll take it. Yeah. We'll be right back. We are doing a listener question, aren't we?
Ooh, yeah.
Are you so excited for a listener question? It's tough now because now that we've been doing the show for a bit, I think we have like over 300 listener questions people have submitted. I feel like we need to answer them like in speed rounds or something.
It's like speed dating for listener questions.
Ready? It is. Great. Sit. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Teach Better Today morning show. We are in our team talk section where we get to talk about educational stuff. We're doing a listener question, and we have an entire bank of listener questions. Katie, I have not prepared the listener question that we are going to answer. Instead, I'm going to have you pick a number 1 through 100, and that is the listener question we are going to do.
85.
Oh, you answered really quick. Okay, I have to scroll and look for it. So can you entertain everybody while I find 85?
Yes, if you are unaware of what a listener question is, it is literally what it sounds like, where you, the listeners, contribute a question and we talk about it. But if you are watching us on Teach Better Today, we also want to hear from you in the comments. So if you are watching it live, please contribute to the conversation. If you're listening to the podcast, feel free to DM us and also contribute to the conversation.
Yeah, we do monitor the comments by the by, just as an FYI. So like you could even post a listener question here and we'll just add it to the bank. All right, you ready for 85?
Yes, please.
Or 85 says, how do I, as a teacher leader, help teams communicate and advocate for themselves without bossing others and to be receptive to other ideas and or thoughts? Whoa, there's like a ton of commas in this one. Hold on. I'm reading it again. Okay. How do I, as a teacher leader, help teams communicate, advocate for themselves without bossing others, and to be receptive to others' ideas and or thoughts?
Model it.
Whoa. Like just like mic drop moment. That's your only comment. Model it. I mean,
yeah,
you're right.
Listening to or like when you listed the things, it was advocate for themselves, but not be bossy, listen to others. Those are all things that we should be seeing from the leadership, no matter what your role in leadership is. So whether you're a teacher leader, whether you're an administrator, someone even higher out of the building, whatever it is, we should be modeling those behaviors. So then that's the expectation versus the disconnect of this is what I expect you to do, but I actually am going to do something different.
So when I think of wanting teachers to advocate for themselves, I think one of the strongest disconnects I see in terms of modeling is not giving a space for teachers to advocate for themselves. And so therefore, teachers are encouraged to advocate. They don't necessarily have a means to do it. So then sometimes when they try to do it, it's in the wrong way, and therefore it's not celebrated and encouraged.
Right. It comes across negative.
Right. So then they don't know how to do it appropriately, and they get, I don't know how to phrase it, but they get like scolded, like that's not this isn't the right time. So then it dismisses them advocating for themselves. They don't want to do it again. So I love I know that that's like a simplistic answer, but it's the truth. The concept of modeling a behavior that you want to see is something that you also have then the opportunity to configure in the background to be set up in a way that allows everyone to be successful. It's kind of like I'm going to go off topic here for instructional stuff, but it's kind of like the grid method where students get to learn at their own pace and have this personalized approach to learning and only move ahead to new content when they're ready for it. But the reality is that there is a teacher in the background holding all the puppet strings.
Correct.
And that is necessary so that chaos doesn't ensue. In my mind, this is very similar. Wanting staff, leadership, anyone who supports that whole educational ecosystem to advocate for themselves should feel like a weight is taken off the teacher's chest. It should feel like they have the freedom to really share their voice. But again, in the background, there should be a puppeteer, making sure that it's done in a tasteful way, making sure it's done in a way that you can easily receive, and all those pieces.
Well, and so I think it requires some coaching, which is kind of what you've been saying is like, what are the means in which a person can advocate for themselves, or how do they appropriate listen to others, but I think there has to be some room for the like buts, like the what ifs. So, if you advocate for yourself as a teacher and you're like, these are things that I need or could benefit from or whatever, there has to be some coaching on the what happens when you don't get it. It can't just be, I'm advocating, therefore it's a guarantee. It's also, here are some things that might happen as a result of you advocating. You may not get what you need. It may not be a quick turnaround, or, it's like coaching through the whole piece, the whole process versus just that initial, what the teacher's going to do.
Wait, this has come up so much this week already, of not only planning for the concept that you want, but planning through the whole experience.
Yep.
We have teachers all the time that plan a really rich, dynamic lesson plan, but they haven't thought through what happens if the internet goes out, what happens if a student asks a question, what happens in the end if you realize that the students haven't gotten the concept that you want them to. Right. It's not a failure, it's just the next part of the process.
Yeah.
And I love your focus on this. It's not just creating a system where a teacher can post, throw a note under your door. It's not just creating a system where your teachers feel safe sending you an email, advocating for something that they want to see a change in, but how do you then teach them the whole process of understanding the results, the repercussions, and
timeline.
Timeline, moments of celebration, all that. Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah, and I think it's important too. Sometimes we struggle with this because we assume everyone in the world of education is an adult and there's like a level of adulting, but it's an unfair assumption because having conversations and disagreeing with someone sometimes does take like a level of coaching of I disagree with you. I don't necessarily want to follow that process because of this. Like some of those in that leadership role, you do have to kind of coach through, like you may not always agree with your teaching counterparts or with your colleagues or with your department or whatever. And then like, what do you do with a disagreement? And that's a huge piece. I mean, we could spend a whole episode on that of like, what do you do when you disagree with someone and how do you then go back to that advocating? Well, why do you disagree and what do you want as a result? Because ultimately we might be able to compromise, but some things are going to have to give. And I think there is some level of like coaching that has to go with that.
I couldn't agree more. And I don't think we do enough adult coaching holistically we assume adults should know XYZ and then we fault them for not knowing.
Right.
It's really interesting, Katie. I think this opens up such rich conversation. I hope you guys think through maybe even how you can bring this conversation to colleagues or your leadership team sometime within the next few weeks, because it doesn't necessarily need to have a solution so much as I love that it can foster really good discussion. Initially go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, and being mindful when you're in that like leadership role, that we cannot chalk it up to you're an adult, you have to get over it, because teaching is a personal profession. So, you know, I like look at my husband when him and I have conversations about our jobs and the differences. You know, if he disagrees in a meeting about how a sheet should be sent up for a budget, at the end of the day, it's like he doesn't necessarily think it's efficient, but whatever, he can roll with it. Sometimes we're dealing with educators who are deeply rooted in passion about something because they might firmly believe it is not good for students or for their classrooms or for whatever. And we have to keep that in the back of our minds of that education is a passionate profession and it really can hit home. And so it can't always just be like, oh, you just have to get over it because we disagree and you have to let go of your beliefs. It's really kind of seeing that it is sometimes more than that.
So I wonder if we can systematically like lay out some sort of system that all of us can start some conversations or reflection on. So essentially there needs to be two parties involved, and there needs to be some sort of communication about the desire for each party to be able to advocate for things they want, need, opinions they have, kind of all that. And the why. I like that. Like being able to define what advocating means. Does it mean that you're sharing just black and white, this is what I want? Does it mean that you're explaining your why? Do you want them to bring evidence? Do you want them to talk to a few people before they share their thoughts? Like I like being able to define what that looks like. And then there needs to be a medium where one party communicates that to the other party. I personally am always an advocate for conversation, but if you need to start it with the written word first, I mean, all those things happen. Then there needs to be some sort of insurance on it. I love that you noted the timeline. Maybe there's some general rule that your two parties can make that it is going to be addressed in some way, shape, or form within 72 hours, right? Like give yourself some space.
Yep.
A realistic, not just, oh yeah, by the end of the day. Like, no, none of us have time for that. 72 hours. If you haven't heard within 72 hours, that would be the good, a beneficial time to follow up on your, need. And then having some sort of system of maybe even defining wants versus needs, I think is really important. I think it's good as the party getting the information to have an idea that this isn't just something that Katie wants from me or wants so she can enjoy her job more. This is actually something that's threatening us working together in the future. So if Katie doesn't get what she wants, I'm aware as the second party that I might lose some trust. I might lose her working with me. I might lose, I think that some of that balance is really valuable. An easy way I've seen just us do this in personal relationships is like, is this a 1 or a 10 for you, right? Like, is this something that you want to advocate for because you think it's right, but you could probably go either way? Or is this something like, no, this is like my soapbox. Like my
non-negotiable.
This is a non-negotiable. I can't work in this environment without this component. I think some of that healthy discussion can be good too. So, absolutely. Wow, Katie, you gave me so much to think about. I love that.
Yeah, this was a great listener question. This is deep.
It's so deep. I'm so glad that you chose random number 85.
Thanks, 85.
Shout out to our listener who shared that question. We hope we gave you some food for thought, and excited to do listener questions more in the future. If you have any listener questions, of course, continue to submit them. Katie and I, as well as the whole team, is excited to continue to share their perspectives. Thanks so much for going through that with me. I have so much to think through, but we hope you all have a wonderful day ahead. And if you have any follow-up questions for Katie and I, feel free to direct message us. I know Katie loves answering more and more questions.
Yep.
Stuff. All right. Bye, friends. Hey, Teach Better community. Thank you so much for joining the Teach Better Today morning show every single weekday at 7 a.m. Eastern. We have so many resources for you outside of this live stream at teachbetter.com, including blogs, podcasts, and professional development that will bring our team to your school. Wherever you are listening from this morning, please make sure you are sharing and celebrating the incredible educators in this world. And hey, if you are listening over on a podcast to Teach Better Talk, we would love a 5-star review. The comments are always so entertaining. We'll see you tomorrow.